Okay, so let's start with the next problem, and that is isometric view of a frustum. Problem statement says, draw isometric view of a frustum of square pyramid. Top face is a square of 30 mm, bottom face is a square of 50 mm, and height of frustum is 70 mm. So basically, what we need to draw is frustum of a square pyramid, and this is how it looks like. If I draw the rough sketch of it, it looks like this. Here we can see that now we will start by drawing a horizontal line, then I will mark a point, and basically first we are going to draw a square prism. Now what will be the size of this prism? So we are going to draw a square prism of size 50 mm, which is of the base square, not the top face. So that is 50 mm size square prism, and height equal to the given height, which is 70 mm. So we'll draw this prism, and then we'll from that we'll derive the frustum of pyramid. So to start with, from the marked point I will draw a vertical line of 70 mm. After this we need to draw a 30-degree line, as we have understood earlier, for isometric projection or isometric drawing. So I will put my 30-degree set square over here, and I will draw a line at 30 degree. Similarly, I will draw a line of 30 degree on the other side. Now as we know that the base is a square of 50 mm, we will put 50 mm length on these lines. Now from these 2 points we will again draw vertical lines of 70 mm. Then we will connect these points with straight lines. So automatically these lines would be lines of 30 degree with horizontal. Now from this point we will draw 30-degree lines. So I will again use the 30-60 degree set square. So I am putting this set square over here, which will give me a 30-degree line, and from this point also I will draw a 30-degree line with this orientation. So this completes the prism of 50 mm size and 70 mm height. Now we see that the top face is of 30 mm in the figure which we require. So we'll reduce this size. So for that, what we'll do is we'll see that this total is 50. So I will mark 10 mm distance from this point and 10 mm distance from this point. So this is 30 mm. Similarly, I will mark 10 mm distance from this point and 10 mm distance from this point. So this distance is 30 mm, which is required. Now from these points, I will draw 30-degree lines. That means isometric lines. And from these points also I will draw isometric lines. So this gives me the required square of 30 mm. Now I will connect these points with straight line. That means I will make the square with dark line, continuous thick line, and then I will connect these points to the points of base square with straight lines. And now I will make the base lines also continuous thick. So this completes the required frustum. So the next problem is about isometric view of a circle. So if you see isometric view of a cylinder, the circle appears as an ellipse. Now if we want to draw with the ellipse representing some particular size, particular diameter of circle, then we need to see a particular method for it, and we are going to use this method. So first of all, we need to draw an isometric square with the size equal to the given diameter. So this is 50 mm and this is 50 mm. Now in this isometric square we can see there are two diagonals, one is bigger and one is smaller. So we will focus on this shorter diagonal, and we are going to connect these 2 points to the midpoint of the opposite edges. So this point to midpoint of this edge, as well as the same point to midpoint of this edge. Similarly, this point to midpoint of this edge, as well as the same point to midpoint of this edge. So we are going to connect these points with straight lines. Right? So after doing this, we are going to use these 4 points, 1, 2, 3 and 4 points as center for drawing arcs. So first of all, I will use this point as center and this radius, and then I will draw an arc connecting this point to that point. Okay. Now similarly, I will take this point as center and this distance, and then I will connect this point to the other. Okay. Now next we are going to take this point as center and this distance as radius, and we are going to draw this arc. Similarly, we will take this point as center, this distance, and we will draw this arc. So after drawing all these arcs, we can make this ellipse with continuous thick line, and that is the ellipse of required diameter circle. Now let's solve this problem of cylinder. So in case of cylinder, we also need to draw the circle first. So first of all, here you can see that two views are given. So we can consider this as front view and this as right hand side view. So right hand side view is a circle. So here the circle will appear on this face. Now that is different than this. Here the circle was appearing in top face. Here the circle is appearing in the right face. Right? So now we need to draw the isometric square with some different orientation. With this orientation. Otherwise the method would remain same. We'll look at the larger and shorter diagonal, we'll consider shorter diagonal, and we'll connect the shorter diagonal endpoints to the midpoint of the opposite edges. So that is the same thing which we were doing in the earlier problem. Now we will follow the method. We'll take this point as center, this radius, and I will connect this point as center, this radius, and we'll connect this point as center, this radius, and we'll connect this point as center, this radius, and we'll connect this. So that way we'll get the required ellipse. So this is how the ellipse looks like. You can see that the orientation is different than what we did earlier. Now if we look at the rough sketch of a 3D representation, rather isometric representation of a cylinder, then we can see that at the back side also we have a circle. That means isometric circle, right? So some portion will remain hidden, so we will not draw it, and that circle is at 60 mm distance from the front circle. So in this case we have to draw one more circle at 60 mm distance. So for that, ideally if we see, we should repeat this method. Rather than that, what we'll do is we'll just focus on the arcs and the center of the arcs. So as I want to draw this arc at 60 mm distance, I am just transferring the center of that arc at 60 mm distance. So from this point I will draw a 30-degree line, isometric line, and I will put 60 mm distance on it, right? Now I will take this radius and the new center point, which is shifted at 60 mm distance, and I will draw an arc. So that will give me the required portion of isometric circle. That means no need to follow the whole method. We can easily transfer all the points. So now we can transfer this point as well and this point as well. And then if we draw the required arcs, we will get the required portion of the isometric circle. As some portion remains hidden, we will not draw it. Now we need to connect these two circles with a straight line, and that line should be isometric line, that means 30-degree, and that should remain tangent to both the isometric circles. So I can draw one line over here which should remain tangent to both this, and one more line I can draw over here which should remain tangent to these two. So if we draw it actually, then it will appear like this, and this is nothing but isometric view of the given cylinder.